For more than 2 decades, Natalia Osipova has been one of the most explosive and unpredictable forces in ballet, a dancer capable of turning even the most familiar role into something raw and intensely human. From the Bolshoi Ballet to the Royal Ballet, from classical masterpieces to contemporary experimentation, her career has been driven by a constant search for something deeper than technical perfection. In this artist deep dive, we explore the story, artistry, and emotional intensity of Natalia Osipova. And if you enjoy this kind of deeper exploration into dance and its greatest artists, sharing, commenting, or subscribing truly helps this project grow. Natalia Osipova was born in Moscow in 1986 and entered ballet relatively late compared to many future stars. As a child, she originally practiced gymnastics, but after an injury ended that path, she turned toward dance, eventually entering the Moscow State Academy of Choreography, the school closely connected to the Bolshoi Ballet. In 2004, she joined the Bolshoi Ballet during a period of major artistic transformation under Alexei Ratmansky. And almost immediately, she began attracting attention far beyond Russia.
Я как-то почему-то не верила в себя, что в Большом театре это мой театр, и я смогу там как-то пробиться и чего-то достичь, потому что там такие балерины были, и такие танцовщики, что мне даже в жизни не верилось, что я как-то на ихнем уровне могу, что-то даже близко танцевать.
There was a sense that this was not simply another technically gifted dancer. There was something volcanic about her presence.
Первый спектакль это был «Дон Кихот».
And suddenly, ballet felt dangerous again. The jumps were not simply high. They seemed explosive, almost thrown into the air. But what made Osipova unusual was not only athleticism. It was the feeling of momentum. Nothing looked carefully presented. Everything looked fully alive. The attack, the speed, the joy, the risk. Audiences were not watching someone demonstrate technique. They were watching someone push through it. And very quickly, clips of her performances began spreading online, introducing a new generation to ballet through pure physical excitement. Around the same time, another young Bolshoi dancer was generating enormous attention, Ivan Vasiliev. Together, Osipova and Vasiliev became one of the most electrifying ballet partnerships of their generation. Their performances felt almost combustible. There was extraordinary virtuosity, massive jumps, fearless turns, impossible energy. But there was also something emotionally reckless about the way they danced together. At a time when ballet was often perceived by younger audiences as distant or overly formal, Osipova and Vasiliev made it feel immediate again. Because the dancing did not feel safe, it felt alive. But what truly separated Osipova from many virtuoso dancers was emotional commitment. Even at extreme technical intensity, she never appeared emotionally detached. The audience could feel the risk, and that sensation, the feeling that something unpredictable might happen at any second, became central to her artistic identity. In 2011, Natalia Osipova made the shocking decision to leave the Bolshoi Ballet. For many observers, it felt almost unimaginable. The Bolshoi was not simply a company, it was a symbol. But Osipova increasingly spoke about artistic freedom, about needing space to grow beyond expectation and hierarchy.
Момент, когда я уходила, я абсолютно делала это, потому что просто мне хотелось чего-то другого, нового, да, других ролей, другой культуры, другого языка танца. Это как бы происходит для человека естественно, если он хочет развиваться.
She joined the Mikhailovsky Theatre in St. Petersburg before eventually becoming a principal dancer with the Royal Ballet in London. And in many ways, this marked the beginning of a new artistic chapter. The explosive virtuoso remained. But gradually, another side of Osipova began to emerge, more vulnerable, more psychological, more searching. If early audiences were captivated by Osipova's physical power, performances like Giselle revealed something far deeper. Her interpretation of the mad scene became one of the most discussed performances of her career, because it did not feel decorative. There was nothing comfortably performed about it. Instead, Osipova approached the role with startling emotional realism. As though the character's psychological collapse was happening in real time. Critics often described her Giselle as dangerous, raw, and deeply human. And this became one of the defining transformations of her career, the athlete becoming an artist of emotional extremity. At the Royal Ballet, Osipova entered a different artistic environment. The repertoire expanded, the dramatic expectations deepened, and over time, her performances gained new layers of complexity. Roles such as Onegin, Manon, Swan Lake, and La Bayadere revealed an artist increasingly interested not only in virtuosity, but in emotional truth. What made Osipova unusual was that even in the most classical works, she rarely appeared emotionally contained. Many ballerinas create beauty through control. Osipova often created beauty through vulnerability, and audiences responded intensely to that honesty. Unlike many classical stars who remained closely tied to tradition, Osipova increasingly began exploring contemporary and modern dance, not as a side project, but as a necessity.
Я всегда любила современный танец, и мне всегда очень нравилось им заниматься. И естественно, что после периода, когда я танцевала, да, вот сейчас, вылился какой-то другой период, что захотелось уже именно работать с хореографами, которые ставят на тебя, когда ты уже знаешь, что ты хочешь сказать, как бы выразить, как ты хочешь научиться новому, научиться.
She worked with contemporary choreographers, experimented with unfamiliar movement languages, and deliberately placed herself outside her comfort zone. This willingness to risk failure became one of the defining qualities of her career. Because Osipova never seemed interested in protecting an image, she seemed interested in discovery. And even in contemporary work, the same qualities remained visible: total commitment, emotional openness, and an almost frightening intensity of presence. What makes Natalia Osipova unique is not simply that she jumps higher, moves faster, or dances with more energy than others. It is that she dances as though something personal is always at stake. Many great ballerinas strive for perfection. Osipova often seems more interested in truth. That pursuit can make her unpredictable, sometimes even divisive. But it is also what makes her unforgettable. Because audiences do not watch Osipova only to admire control. They watch her to feel something. And in an art form that can sometimes become overly polished or emotionally distant, that kind of honesty is rare. If you enjoyed this artist deep dive, let me know which dancer you'd like to see next. Feel free to check my previous episode about Marianela Nunez. And if you'd like to support the project, sharing, commenting, or subscribing truly helps it grow.